Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. This is Laurie Smith on Blog Talk Radio. It is 6 o'clock here in the morning, Wednesday morning, March 30th. I'm glad to be here. This is One Child Abuse Survivor to Another. We're on for 30 minutes. It's a live internet streaming radio broadcast from blogtalkradio.com. And the chat room is open if anybody would like to sit in the chat room. I don't know who would be up at this time. But I did pop the link in there that I wanted to finish talking about. And we're almost done with this article. And this is taking a look at dysfunctional families, and it was written a long time ago, 1992, but it's from the Mudrashram Institute of Spiritual Studies, When You Grow Up in a Dysfunctional Family by George Boyd, 1992. And it's a great article. I really thought it was very helpful for myself, looking at the difference between healthy families, dysfunctional families, looking at the roles within dysfunctional families, boundaries, boundary issues, looking at the negative kind of destructive programming that people kind of pick up from growing up in a dysfunctional family. So I don't know. This is information that I found very helpful, and I'm just like I say on every show. I'm just a private citizen paying to do my own shows. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a survivor of child abuse. Right. Just really want to bring out information that I find helpful for myself. And this is kind of my healing journey here in the morning, so you have to listen at your own discretion to all of my shows because I'm talking about abuse, and abuse is a very sensitive topic, very sensitive subject for many people. And, some people may have not heard a whole lot about abuse, maybe make them uncomfortable. So you have to know what's good for you to listen to. Ultimately, it is your discretion to listen. And so, you should know what's good for you to listen to, and if you find it makes you uncomfortable, you have to turn the show off, right? And young people under the age of 18, I just ask that you have permission to listen to my shows, and that is because I believe that children should be protected at all times. And I'm the Canada Regional Director for Dream Catchers for Abused Children, and we're promoting education and awareness regarding the issues of child abuse and child abuse prevention, right? So young people under the age of 18, I just ask that you have permission to listen to my show. Have someone, an adult, a parent, a caregiver, an adult who you trust, who can help you to make the decision whether you should be listening to my shows, right? They can maybe listen to a show with you, and they can help you if you have questions or, help to see if this is age appropriate for you, right? And there's a lot of adult content on my shows, and I think that, I'm talking about a lot of adult survivor issues, right? And so I just think that young people should, protect themselves at all times and learn how to keep yourself safe when you're online, especially when there's a chat room present. You do want to be careful. You want to know how to keep yourself safe in a chat room and anywhere online, right? So get that information. Just type into your browser internet safety for children, internet safety, online safety, right? And it'll bring you to websites that have some information on there about how to keep yourself safe when you're online. And I know I look at the FBI.gov has a great website. That's a good website, FBI.gov actually. And they have an awesome web page on there for parents and also for young people on how to keep yourself safe online, right? Internet safety. So be sure you do check that out. Make sure you get the information and keep yourself safe, right? So yeah, we'll get right into this topic here. Thanks everybody for tuning into all of my shows. I really appreciate it. I do a lot of shows, and this is close to 650 shows here. It might be around 650 that I've done so far, and that's a lot of shows. And I appreciate everybody who's taken the time to tune into my shows. I have a lot of people who do tune into my shows. I have a friend here in the chat room, Bill Murray. I'll go ahead and bring you on the air here.
Okay.
Good morning, Bill. How are you, Bill?
I am delighted to finally get an opportunity to talk to you face-to-face as it was. I've been following your shows for quite some time, and I myself am an adult survivor of child abuse, so I am very appreciative of the work that you have done, and of course also Dreamweavers,
Dream Catchers, yeah.
Catchers, the group is an excellent group, as you said. So I know you do these shows regularly, but you're at such an hour that it's difficult for me to catch you. But I made it a point to try and get on the air when you were to say,
awesome.
overtly tell you how much it's appreciated, and we support you out here in the community in all the work you're doing.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Bill. I've actually caught one of your shows, just the archive, I believe. I wasn't able to catch live, but I know that you do a great show yourself, and you're bringing out all kinds of information for, regarding child abuse prevention, adult survivor stuff. I love show as well. I wish I could. I actually plan on being able to hopefully catch a show live sometime. I really do.
We want to schedule you when you're available, and this is a problem for both of us. I understand. We're at opposite ends of the timing spectrum, but
right.
I would love to have you on as a special guest and spend the whole show with you talking about what you've done over the last 600 shows.
Oh,
you teased us. We're up to 150 or 60 or 80, something like that. But
yeah,
we have the same kind of missions, very similar missions, and I launched my nonprofit officially January 1st, so it's new for us, and you've been doing it a long time. So we want you to be part of us, and we want you to know we're a part of you. We do promote your shows and also
that's awesome.
the website. I will put this article that you just suggested on our site as well. And, we don't belong to anyone, but we cooperate with everyone, including you, of course.
That's awesome. Well, that's how I feel, too. And, that's the whole issue. This is what it takes. People coming together, people, pooling resources, working with each other, helping to make this, to help other people, right? Because
that's right.
Like that's the issue. So many people out here, so many survivors of child abuse, and who really are isolated. They don't, they can use all the help that they can get, and just to hear from another voice, just to hear from someone who, who's been there, who's experienced these things, and who's survived, and who's now trying to reach out and sort of help to let them know it's okay to reach out, or to do what they need to do to get help, right? Yeah, this is awesome. Well, I love what you're doing as well, and I was directed to your show by someone who popped into my chat room and said, you've got to check out Bill Murray's show. And so because I hadn't seen it, and so I went over and checked it. I thought, this is so great. I love it, and I love what you're doing. I love the show format, the way that you guys present the material. It's just awesome. So, I guess the feelings are mutual. Thank you.
I know, and that's why I wanted to make sure I talked to you. I made sure I was up to date, because I said
that's
this
so
is still
awesome.
pitching shows,
That's
but
nice. Thank you.
I want to correct one thing. It's not my doing. It's our doing. This is an us thing, and that's how we're going to make a difference. I mean, I named the nonprofit the Association of Adult Survivors, plural. So the NAASCA, the National Association of Adult Survivors of Child Abuse, .org is a website that's for all of us, and we all have to kind of share in the responsibility for doing the work behind, what I'm doing, what you're doing, what other organizations are doing, and it's a we thing. But there are 39, as you know, 39 million of us in America alone who are survivors, and the rate at which children are disappearing is alarming too, and that's our secondary purpose, of course. Our primary purpose is to help people who are now adults and have never gotten closure or recovery to get into recovery. Never gotten comfortable with their story to get into it. That's our primary purpose, and our secondary mission, of course, is to just educate the public at the size and scope of all the issues that surround child abuse, including what's going on now, of course. So that's also high on our list, and we do a lot of sharing about statistics, that we use the best statistics we can. I know you do too. I've heard some of your shows, but I wanted to make sure that I caught one for sure.
That is so awesome. Oh, it's so nice to talk to you. This is really nice. Thanks very much for doing that, getting up early so you can talk to me. I know I'm a couple, I'm in Mountain Standard Time because I'm in Calgary, Alberta. And so it's 6 o'clock here, and this is the time in the morning. There's not very many people up. There's not very many people around. Sometimes I have a friend or two in the chat room, but it's pretty quiet. So I was kind of surprised to see it.
I've heard that before. You've talked about how you rush off to work and then you rush home to do the nighttime show and all this. I've heard those things. Right. And I'm like, this girl is nuts, but thank God she's there, But I split my time between Florida and California, and I happen to be in Florida at the moment, so it's actually not too an hour for me.
You're on the East Coast.
That's not too bad. This is going to be the mission of my life. I'm semi-retired, and I think I am retired, except for this work now. This is how important it is to me, and a lot of people we're attracting, let's say, a following that seems to be dedicated to it, as I'm sure you are too. And again, we share everything we do. We don't belong to anybody, but we cooperate with everybody. You know, we're non-denominational, we're not political, just like you. Those of us who are survivors are not professional, but we do have some professionals with us, and they chime in and they give that perspective. You know, we have a certified sex therapist, for example, who is a regular on our shows. We have an emergency room nurse, and we have law enforcement people who come on.
That's awesome. That is that's awesome.
They give a perspective that's different than ours, but what we can speak from, you and I and others like us, is our own experience, and it's completely valid, of course.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And it's just that side of it, right, that, you know, kind of does bring to reality the truth of what it's like to be abused, you know, and for so many people who have been abused, you know, it's a bit of validation for them, you know, to say, oh, no, I'm not alone. There's people, you know, there's lots of people who are out here who've experienced this. It's very sad, but I can get help. You know, look what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you know, you hope to be a bit of an example. You know what I mean? And for people who don't know a whole lot about what it would be like to be, you know, to grow up abused, you know what I mean? It does open their eyes a little bit to the, you know, to the harsh reality that these kids are going through right now, that we know about because we survived, right? That's the whole issue. And yeah, that's the thing. I'm just glad to be able to do these shows. Like I said, I wasn't sure how long I'd be doing them, and I started in November 2009, and I just kept going, and I find it's very helpful for me to do these shows. You know, it's a bit of a release. I'm able to talk and get some of this stuff out, and you know, and hopefully make a difference with people. So I know that's what you're doing. And if people want to reach you, like, what's your actual address, like your actual information, so just in case people are listening to this show, like on the archive, which they will, thankfully. I'm going
to type it in the chat room so you can see it, but I'll also repeat it on the air for the sake of the recorded show.
Yeah.
Our official name right now is, we're the Adult Survivors of Child Abuse, so we called ourselves the National Association because I wanted to give the sense that we're not confined to any one particular area. So our website address then is the National Association of Adult Survivors of Child Abuse. So it's NAASCA.org. And of course we do these shows regularly. We call the Sunday show we call Community Matters, and that show we've been doing for 160 episodes. But the new show, Stop Child Abuse Now, is an evening show that happens weekdays, Monday to Friday now, and we may even go to a 2-hour format starting next week.
That is awesome. I saw that, and I was like, that is so great.
Well, that's called Stop Child Abuse Now, so people can see that at Blog Talk.
Yeah, I caught one of the archives, and I thought, man, this is great. I hope to be able to tune in live here and be a part of this. This is great. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. So
you just let me know. My phone numbers are on the website. Overtly, we put our phone numbers. We want people to know that it's okay to call us. So my numbers are there, and as are some other survivors and some of our professionals. So you decide when it's comfortable for you, Lori, and you want it, and you have time, and we want you, and we'll make accommodations however we need to make sure that you can participate. We really appreciate what you do.
That is awesome. Well, I feel the same way. I absolutely. This goes back to you. You know, like, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And people, anyone listening right now, live or who will tune into the archive, you can catch Bill Murray's the actual show here on Blog Talk Radio and his guests and co-hosts at www.blogtalkradio.com/Bill BILL Murray, Murray. Well, that's so awesome. I would love to do that. I would love to actually be a guest on your show. That'd be awesome. And
open invitation, believe me.
Yeah.
Anytime.
That's
and
great.
So we're going to consider you one of us, you know. Everybody come in. And, you know, the thing you talked about, that the willingness for us to tell our stories, and you know, is hopefully encouraging to other people to hear that, as you said, that we can tell our stories, and we're actually fairly comfortable. I'm actually, you know, very comfortable with telling my story now, and maybe it gets them through the barrier of not keeping the secret any longer themselves. That's really what we want, because we know that that's the story of our lives. If we don't work our way through it, if we don't come to terms with it and bring it into maturity and adulthood, it affects basically every decision we make in adulthood and the quality of our life dramatically. But as soon as we start to know the story, it starts to get better. And we are there to support that. We don't just tell people, come tell your story, and then we'll dump you. We give you our email address, and we invite you back and so forth. So there's a lot of support there, too.
That is awesome. Yeah, that's great. I know this is wonderful. I love your show, and like I said, I think it's at a time when I actually can catch it if I can just make the time. You know what I mean? Like I think I can possibly even just to sit in the chat room and be part of it. You know what I mean? Because I really think it's awesome, and I love what you're doing, and I think that it kind of there's some of us are out here. You know what I mean? But I'm just this one person. I can't remember who it was. Actually said you've got to check out this show. Stop Child Abuse Now. He says it's similar. It's not necessarily like yours, but it's the same idea, helping get the word out and talking about survivor issues and stuff. And I was like, I'll check it out for sure. So I'm really glad and thankful that person stopped into my chat room and told me about that. That's wonderful. So yeah, I would say to keep up the great work. I definitely will be in touch.
And we're going to talk about you too, and we promote everybody. We give away all kinds of information. Our website is packed with resources and stuff. And we'll article, for example, now that you've presented it, it looks good to me. It's something that should be out there. We'll add that. We update it every day. So, and as you said, our shows always have a chat room open and always have open phone lines, and we encourage people to know that they can stay anonymous if they wish. So we allow for that too, of course, because we know these are very sensitive issues and scary for people to share. So.
Yeah, that's right. And some people may feel that they out of fear that maybe their abuser is still living, or just out of they just don't want anybody to know exactly who they are. To remain anonymous, sometimes that's a good thing, for a lot of people to be able to do that. Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. I will definitely be in touch, and I would love to be a guest on your show. Absolutely. And then I would love I'd love to have you as a guest on my show as well. So that's great.
We'll exchange. We'll become. I've already got you as a friend on Blog Talk. So however you want to do, we can start communicating, and we'll find a time when I can come on your show, and I definitely want you to come on ours too. Okay?
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Bill. I appreciate it. You have an awesome day. Right on.
Lori, thank you for being there.
Right.
Thank you. God bless. All right.
Yep, God bless. Have a great day. Take care.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. That's great. This is a sort of, this is why this is so important, I believe, for people to, people to reach out, right? Because I know that when I started reaching out, like this was just about 4 years ago, I started to notice that there were a lot of people out here, who I had never really even heard of, who were survivors of child abuse, who were doing a lot of great work. And so when I started to reach out, I realized that I was not alone, and that I did not have to suffer alone in sadness, you know what I mean? And I think that just by reaching out, by me taking that first step and reaching out, all these hands came back to me. And I couldn't believe it. Like, I had never seen that kind of support ever in my lifetime. I really had no idea that there would be that many people who would reach out to me, just by me taking the first step to reach out, right? Because many times people don't realize that people may not realize that a person's been abused. They may not realize that a person needs that support. So many times, many people are quite good at, especially after, having come from a dysfunctional family or growing up abused, you get used to being kind of self-reliant because, as a child, you're not, possibly having to do everything for yourself or possibly having to deal with everything on your own. And I know that was the case for me. I didn't have any support within the home, and I had to look for outside sources. And I had a few good close friends when I was growing up, which was great. And so I kind of became a person who thought, no, I don't need anybody. I can do this, right? And so I never thought about, really that I should reach out, right? Until 4 years ago when I decided that was the point where I needed to reach out, really just to save my life. I was becoming so down and so desperate about 4 years ago, just from having, been dealing with the same feelings and the same emotions, the the same pain and suffering that I had been dealing with my whole life. And when I finally realized, I thought, no, I'm going to have to get help, and I'm going to have to reach out. So I started to reach out, and all these hands came back to me. I had no idea or a concept that this would happen, right? I have met so many awesome people who are survivors of child abuse, and so many people who aren't survivors of child abuse, who have been very supportive towards me and have been there for me every day, like on a daily basis. These people genuinely care. They check up on me, and if I wouldn't have reached out, and I wouldn't have made the first step to reach out, then the support probably, I would say, would not be here. So I think that's really what's really important for people to realize. If you've been through this and you've just been on your own suffering and silence and suffering alone in sadness and grief and having a hard time in your life because of this, being wounded, being completely wounded as a child, right? It's so important that you do reach out. And even if you don't, I don't know, there's nothing wrong with counseling, therapists, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with getting help where we can. I really enjoyed group support. I got into a online group support group who you can remain anonymous in many of those types of groups. I liked that because it was online. I could go on whenever I wanted to, basically when I had time, right, because I'm so busy most of the time. And I could talk to people who had been through similar things that I'd been through. Maybe not necessarily the same exact things. We didn't share exactly the same stories, but we could relate with each other because we knew how harsh it is and what a harsh reality it is to have had to suffer through this abuse as children. So we had that commonality, and I think that was very important for me to have that. So I belonged to this group support online group support group for quite a while, and then after a while I actually got too busy to even participate. Right, so I'm not even on there anymore. But what I did notice is that lots of people remain anonymous on those group support. They use different names. People don't know who their real names, and many times it's out of fear because their abusers are still living, and they don't want to, they just live still in kind of fear, right? And this is very, very sad. So many people still living in fear of their abusers, right? So I would say, reach out and get some help where you can. If it's a counselor, or if it's a therapist, or if it's group support or online group support. I really trusted that because I feel there's safety in numbers, and that's just my thing from growing up in a home where we were raised to believe that people would hurt us, and if we, it was our parents that were hurting us, but they told us that other people would hurt us, and that if we tried to reach out and to speak to a counselor or therapist, those people would just take our information and use it against us. And I believe the reason my parents said that was because they were brought up on charges, and they did not want us to go get help because they would be brought up on more charges. And so that's the whole issue. You know what I mean? They were they were saying, no, don't do this because it'll get us in trouble, but they didn't tell us the truth. They just said, no, therapists and counselors will get your information and they'll just hurt you. They'll just use it against you. So when you're brought up to believe this, it's a little bit hard to kind of get around that. But I have talked to some counselors and therapists who have been nothing but supportive to me along this healing journey. I've talked to some life coaches as well, and I've just had the opportunity to meet with these people. And they all seem very nice and very helpful to me, and they all seem to care, and every one of them that I actually talked to said, they seem to be the type of people that why would they be doing that job if they didn't really want to help a person to help themselves and help a person to have the ability to empower themselves to help themselves. And they were, seemed to be good and decent people. So it changed my mind on the whole idea of counseling and therapists just by talking to a few of these people. So there's help out there. That's my main issue. That's my main goal here, to spread the word that there is help. And sometimes people just won't reach out. And I would say for those people that want to remain completely silent for the rest of your life, there's always self-help, really. Which is kind of what I'm doing. I do a lot of self-help because I look at the materials and but some people can't do that. They just find it too difficult, or it's too hard on them, you know what I mean? So sometimes people can't do self-help and they need to reach out, right? For me, it was okay. I realized that I was going to be fine doing self-help, right? But sometimes people do need to get some real, professional help, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with standing up and saying, hello, I need help, right? And so many times growing up abused, You can't. When children growing up in abusive homes, within the home, most likely are not allowed to stand up and say, "Hello, I need help." When I was growing up, I was not allowed to complain about any of the treatment I was receiving. You know what I mean? So whether it was the physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, I was not getting any help. You know what I mean? So I got used to not getting any help. And so my whole life I've had an extremely hard time asking for help, and I have to do it all on my own. And it's just been ingrained in me that I'm just this lonely wanderer, that has to do everything on my own, and I can't reach out. Well, that's all changed now because I've started to think differently, and I've started to realize that no, there's nothing wrong with reaching out for help. There's absolutely nothing wrong with asking for help. So that's very important that people do that. Whatever kind of help that, you feel that you need. I'm quite often on almost every show say, for people if they're having a hard time and just don't feel like you can cope, just so down and so depressed, then you phone a crisis line. You phone somebody, Like, I really wish that my brothers would have done that and stuck around, you know what I mean? That's why I do these shows, right? I mean, two of my brothers made the choice to continue on a road to just self-destruction. One of my brothers killed himself, and the other brother died of a drug overdose, so they would not reach out for help. And I mean, there were people trying to help them, but they would not accept it. They would not allow themselves to get this help. It's very, very sad, you know what I mean? And so I wish that, there was something I could have said and something I could have done to make them change their minds before they ended up, to ending their lives. And the thing is it would have literally been up to them, There wouldn't have probably been anything I could have said or done. I can't take that guilt on. I can't take that role on. Like, people did try to help them. They were within themselves, could not find what it took to want to reach out and make that phone call or get that help, right? And so that's why I want to encourage people to do that. You know what I mean? Because we have a life to live, and we should be living it, to the best of our abilities. For years, because my family's suicidal, for years, up until the age of 40, I was planning my suicides, right? Because this was something I was taught how to do as a child, you know what I mean? My parents were both suicidal, and so they taught us how to be suicidal. Two of my brothers killed themselves, so there you go. It just runs in the family. So it was no wonder that I was thinking the way that I was thinking. The whole issue is that at the age of just about 4 years ago, the age of 41 years old, I just thought, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just allowing this whole thing, this whole situation of being abused as a child to destroy my life, and what I'm going to take my life, and then it's going to allow my abusers to win this fight, which I got really mad, and I thought, no way. No. I'm changing that, like right now, today. So I made a commitment to myself, really to a huge commitment to myself that I knew I would keep, right? That I would get some help, or I would reach out, and that I would no longer ever think about killing myself. You know what I mean? Like, I would just, this is my commitment to myself to live, right? I had to learn how to live, right? Most people, are don't have these issues, if they grow up in a healthy family and not being abused, they are living, you know what I mean? But I had to kind of come from death to life, you know what I mean? So I'm not a vision, and I hope that more people will, anybody who's listening to this show will realize that it's hard, and there's no doubt about it. There's nothing easy about this road, this journey, but it's doable, right? And especially when you reach out and you get some help, and even if it's just a good close friend, somebody to talk to, getting information and doing what you can to help yourself as well as getting some help. You know what I mean? Just reaching out. And thanks very much, Bill. I appreciate taking the time to be here this morning, and Bill Murray's still here in the chat room, and you can catch his show. Make sure you do check out the show. I was actually able to listen to an archive, and I hope to be able to catch the live shows. www.blogtalkradio.com/Bill-Murray, Bill-Murray, M-U-R-R-A-Y, and that's from the www.naasca.org, the National Association for Adult Survivors of Child Abuse. And you can catch Bill Murray on Facebook as well. And probably if you go to to Bill Murray's site, you're on to the site on Blog Talk Radio, you can probably hook up with him as a friend here as well as on Facebook and whatnot. But I'll be sure and share some more information. But thank you, Bill. Bill says you're saving lives here and very much appreciated. And, I know that that's what Bill's and his, the people Bill are trying to do as well. And that's what I could tell by listening to his show. It's the same thing. Just reaching out to people and saying, you know what, you're worth it. You do matter. Your life does matter, right? I had to realize to myself that my life is worth it and that it does matter and it does count, right? So that's my message. Don't ever give up. Not ever, ever, ever. And can just keep on reaching out for that help and that hope where you can find it, right? Thanks again. Have a great day, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, same place, 6 o'clock a.m. And we'll continue on with the rest of this Dysfunctional Families from George A. Boyd. And in the meantime, you take good care of yourselves. If you can't get a hold of somebody, then you make sure that you phone a crisis line, like I said. This is very important. I know that I would do that, and that's why I'm passing this information on to somebody else, or anybody who's listening who may be in this situation, because it's worth it. Your life is worth it, and it's always worth it. And sometimes it seems so dark and so down and so dreary and depressing that sometimes people don't see that it's worth it, but it is worth it. You know what I mean? And I've had to talk people out of suicides before, and the issue is that you have to want it. You have to see that on the inside of you, and you have to know that it is worth it. I'm so glad I finally realized that and stuck around. You know what I mean? It makes me happy that I was able to see that and stick around and reach out and get some help, right? So make sure that you do the same thing, right? Because your life does matter. It matters to me, right? So take good care, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. I'll be back on tonight as well as on Dreamcatchers Talk Radio, and you can check my show page and whatnot. If you need to get a hold of me, you can contact me here on Facebook. Facebook. I'm also on Facebook all over the place, and I'm here on Blog Talk Radio if you need to get a hold of me or if you need the information that I might have, right? So be sure and get a hold of me. I do check my messages, and I can get back to you. So have a great day, everybody. Talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.